once said that if you were growing up in this generation that you would have a field day because you would take their souls. What did you mean by that?
The younger generation quits, not everybody. So I gotta put that, people get their butt hurt. So not everybody. Most of this generation quits the second they get talked to. You did this wrong, or they get yelled at. It's so easy to be great nowadays because everybody else is, most people are weak. This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it but still do it. People have a hard thing to understand. I hate to run. And what makes me so crazy, it doesn't anymore, is people go, well, why do you run if you hate it? What are you talking about? I don't want to take showers and eat either. I hate that too. That's life, man. It wasn't until I changed that mentality that I became somebody. I hated going to school, so guess what? I was dumb as shit. That's what, 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. That's what people understand. By me running, I am callous in my mind. I'm not training for a race. I'm training for life. I'm training for the time when I get that 2 o'clock in the morning call that my mom is dead or something happens tragic in life. I don't fall apart. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is gonna throw at me, because the life I've lived, it throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just gonna crumble and you're good for nobody.
Talk to me about what it takes to be on one side of a door in Iraq or anywhere, knowing on the other side of the door are people who are not afraid of you. They're ready for you to come in, and you still have, and they have guns, and you still have to breach that door.
That's a great question. That's a very scary situation when you are on one side of the door and your mind is racing, because on the other side of that door, it could be no one. It could be 4 guys with 4 AK-47s. That door you're about to open could be booby-trapped. So once you open it, boom, your legs are gone. So there's 1,000 things you think about when you're the first guy, second guy, third guy, getting ready to go in a room and flood it. And that's why I talk about the warrior mentality. And that's why so many people are lost when I start talking. You have the right. You're lucky that you don't have to think like warriors think. You're very privileged. I chose this world to be a warrior, and I would choose it again if I came back to this world. But the mentality of a warrior is very different than normal mentality. You must be that person on that door, get ready to open it, thinking to yourself, if I die, so be it. The only way you can go in that door is knowing there's a great chance you're gonna die. It's like being a SEAL, you train with live ammo. You jump out of an airplane, everything you do, you could die. So to be a warrior, why people don't understand me, I'm glad you don't understand me. Merry Christmas, good on you. Because being a warrior takes a whole different mindset. A whole different mindset to know that there's a great chance I may not be in the military. Like I was in for 21 years. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky that I'm alive, able to talk to you, able to still run. But when you sign up on that dotted line to be like a SEAL, your mentality changes. I may not live. You gotta accept that. And that's the mentality you have. And that's what makes you a warrior. If you're scared to die, you're a bad warrior. I hated jumping out of airplanes. I hated shooting guns. I hated the job as a Navy SEAL. But I did it because I wanted to change myself. Everything I do, I'm not really comfortable doing. But if you choose to go that route, to go be a Navy SEAL, you might as well go be the hardest in the world. Because if you're choosing to do something, you have 2 routes. You can go there and be a little weak person and get through barely, and that's your reputation. Or you can go through the hardest guy you can possibly be, and that's your reputation. So my whole thing is, if you're gonna choose to open that door in Iraq or Afghanistan, open them and go in hard. Because they're gonna remember you, by slowly opening it and peeking in. So if you're gonna open it and you made the mind to open it, don't crack it open. Open the door, go in. That's with life. If you're choosing to do something, attack it, because they're gonna remember you as not attacking it. So I want to be remembered. You can hate me, but there's one thing you can't say about me: I didn't attack it. So that's the mentality to have. If you're gonna do something, you might as well attack it, because you can do it anyway.
Right. Do you use that in civilian life? Like, do you still employ the I'm gonna attack it, I'm gonna take their souls? Like, how does that play out in a non-combat zone?
It still works for me in life as far as attacking things, because no matter what I want to, no matter what avenue I choose, I want to be the very best. And the very best may not be I'm number one. The very best is, did I leave everything inside of me out there? So attacking is not like, oh, I want to win this or win that or be the best. The best is I'm running against myself and everything I do, and that's what I attack. I attack myself. I'm always questioning myself. I'm always holding myself accountable. As a leader, the one thing I did horribly wrong, on my second platoon, I actually started developing an attitude towards people who didn't PT hard, who didn't get after it, who worked, because I took it all the way to the limit. And so I should have been a better leader by knowing, okay, not everybody wants to be David Goggins. Yeah. Everybody wants to go run 100 miles. Everybody,
right. Everyone's got different
everybody
skills.
Got different skill sets. Yeah. And everybody, maybe they want to go to the gym, whatever. The gym is fine, but it was just a different standard. So I couldn't take away my standard for the whole of the group.
Interesting.
I looked at people like, F you, man. You ain't trying to get hard, F you. So my mentality, I wasn't a good leader. And I look back on that now. Trust me, a lot of people could have done things differently. I'm taking accountability for what I could have done differently. Right. I looked at that. So my mentality from a weak kid became super hard, like beyond hard, next level hard. And but that's what I thought I was getting myself into. As a leader, I should have stepped back and was, hey, these are your expectations, David Goggins.
Right.
What are we here to accomplish? Right. It's important to lead by example. And when I say lead by example, if you're the leader, it's the loneliest job on the planet. And if you do it, you have to be up early. You have to leave late. You got to do the sucky jobs. At least that's how I look at it. You got to be the man that is always the person who's being held accountable to the highest standard, and not expecting your people to do anything that you're not going to do 20 times more than they are, even when you're the leader. And it's all about accountability for yourself in leadership roles. Not about being pissed because people aren't doing what you're doing. Everybody has different skill sets.
Do you ever do yoga?
All the time, man. All the time. And I if I were to tell somebody one thing right now, man, that soul has muscle and getting that hip flexor opened up, because we're all stressed the f out. It's so much worse than others. It changed my life.
I'm one of those, I drone on too much about yoga. I'm like one of those vegans. It's like, you gotta do it, man. Right. Just try it. I get annoying, like a born-again Christian or something. It's like,
I'm getting that way now, man. I'm getting that way now.
For anybody who does anything hard, like, if you do anything like with weightlifting type shit or martial arts type shit, where it's just everything's explosion, it's lifting, it's heavy, it's push, push, push.
Right.
Yoga just will balance your shit out.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will.
It really will, man. And there's all these people that resist it. Like, there was some article recently that was something along the lines of hot yoga is just trendy nonsense. I read that, and then even in the article, it talked about that there might be some benefits in terms of like the strengthening your arteries, and they didn't even mention heat shock proteins. There's a study going on right now. I believe it's at Harvard.
Right.
One of my friends was telling me about it, where they're trying to find the benefits of 90-minute hot yoga classes, because they think it might mirror the observed benefits of sauna, which they already know for a fact. Has big benefits because of your body producing heat shock proteins to deal with the heat.
Right.
That's why I put that sauna in here, man. I go in that for all the time.
Well, no one can tell me it doesn't work.
It's big.
It's proof positive. It changed my life. It wasn't a medication or this or a drug. It was stretching.
Yeah.
It was yoga, stretching, all that stuff combined changed. I came home one night from work spraying for cockroaches. And long story short, I turned on the Discovery Channel. I saw some guys going through Navy SEAL training. And they're going through Hell Week, and they're getting their ass just beat, in and out of the water, guys ringing the bell. There's suffering. And I was weighing like 297 pounds. And I had to make a change in my life. You know, I was at an all-time low, and I wasn't going anywhere, and I was exactly what everybody said I was going to be, which was nothing. So I had to make a change.
What was it about seeing suffering that's really interesting, and I actually get it, but I want to hear you explain it. Why suffering was the thing that triggered that thought?
Well, for me, growing up, I came from a horrible background. I got called nigger every day of my life growing up, lived in a small town. The Klan headquarters at that time was about 20 minutes from where I lived. One of the high-ups in the KKK, son, sat behind me in 2 classes, so he called me nigger all the time. Got my first car, they spray painted nigger, we're gonna kill you on it. So I was just an insecure, scared kid. And the only way I could find myself was through putting myself through the worst thing possible. I'm gonna say the exact opposite of what today's world is saying. So we read a bunch of books nowadays. As humans, we want to find out how to be someone else. What we don't do is we don't go inside. So literally turn yourself inside out. Read the book that says, like we're writing a book every day of our lives. Every day we're seeing who we are as people. When I was growing up, I lied for people to accept me because I didn't accept myself. So I would make up stories so that you would accept me into your world. Everything I did was for someone else to like me. It wasn't until I started reading my own book about how pathetic I was as a human being. I could blame my dad, I could blame kids at school, I could blame having health issues, ADD, my mom not being around. Great mom, but she was doing her thing. I could blame a lot of people. And that's the book I was reading. And I put it off on everybody else. It wasn't until I said, you know what, for me to fix this, I gotta read what the fuck is wrong with dating Goggins? Not blame anybody. Read my book and say, okay, I'm afraid of my shadow. How can I overcome that? Go in the military, get your ass kicked, do things you hate to do, be uncomfortable every day of your life. Roger that. I'm not the smartest kid in the world. Okay. Instead of somebody saying, oh no, you're smart. No, don't say that to yourself. I said to myself, no, I'm a dumb. Okay, roger that. How you get smarter? Educate yourself. So the things that we run from the truth. We're running from the truth, man. So the only way I became successful was going towards the truth. As painful and as brutal as it is, it changed me. It allowed me to become, in my own right, who I am today. My biggest advice to give everybody in the world is, like I say, we live in an external world. Everything is you gotta see it, touch it, it's external. If you can, for the rest of your life, live inside of yourself. Stop listening to people who are calling you fat, gay, transsexual, nigger. Everything that is makes no sense. All these insecure people putting their insecurities on you, you gotta flush it out. You gotta just be whoever the hell God or whatever the hell you believe in. If you believe in nothing but yourself, I don't care what it is. You gotta take everything and throw it away. You have to believe in one thing, and that is yourself. And I'm not saying don't believe in God or what you believe in, but right now, for you to find greatness in yourself, you're not gonna find it by looking in a book or by even hearing me. I may give you the spark, but you've got to go inside yourself to find it. And that means you gotta be quiet. Shut the fuck up, go in a room, stop talking, search your soul, search your mind, search your abilities, and you'll find it. But if you're not looking for it, you won't find it. So you gotta go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding, why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? And if you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why? I turn negatives into positives. So I would take it like, who would even think about doing this? So I would sit on my couch saying, who at 297, who can't swim that great, who's scared of the water, would have the balls, who had the balls to man up, quit a job, and go and to put everything on himself. So it's how I started talking to myself and putting myself in a whole different category, and that would fuel me the next day, and I just kept using that as fuel and fuel. No one would do this. No one would do this. You're the best around. You're the best ever lived. And I just kept fueling me with the right kind of message that I needed to hear that I was never telling myself. And through time, it became reality to myself.
So you start out on the first day, and then do you start running again the second day?
Yeah, the second day we're right back after it again. But I started realizing I can't run that far.
Right.
So what I did was I became damn near a professional cyclist with the miles I put on the bike. So whenever I watched TV, I had to be doing something. So I was riding the bike. I rode a bike a lot to lose the first initial kind of weight because my bones were just hurting so bad. My body was just broken. And I learned to get over that also. And I tried to swim a lot. I wasn't a great swimmer, but putting fins on kind of equalized my body. I wasn't so negative buoyant. So I started finning a whole bunch. And I spent hours in the pool, trying to get more and more comfortable. Not because I was going underwater. I was so scared of the water that I had to live in the water. I had to become one with the water. So going to the pool used to scare me. So I went to the pool an awful lot. And then the bike got easier. I was able to run more. I went from like 1 mile. 1 mile was a great accomplishment. 2 miles, and then from 2 to 3 was a big one. Then I went from 3 to 6. And then like they have a warning order that they give people to get ready for buds. And the whole thing was running 6 miles 5 days a week. And that was my goal. And so I failed, I go back to scratch. I use some positive motivation. I have like one day where I'm like defeated. But I started realizing this is part of the process. This is part of the journey. I had to realize this is part of my process versus just saying, like I used to, I'm just not good enough. If I'm not good enough, we always say that, I'm just not good enough, and then we try something else. I'm gonna make myself good enough. And that became my mentality. I'm gonna make myself good enough. And so I'm misunderstood a lot, but that's all it came down to. I made myself good enough. And the days I couldn't run that far, the next week, I would do 2 a days. So like on the running, if I ran a quarter of a mile, I wait a couple hours, it'd haunt me, bother me. I try to run a half mile next time, same day. You can do more than this. If I had to walk, I had to walk. It just became just a process of grinding, and grinding is not even a good word for it. It's not even a good word for it. And just going further and further. And then when I got through running, I go to the bike, I go to the pool. If I got tired somewhere, my legs were tired, I go to the gym. And I developed this crazy workout where I was doing volume, like 200-300 reps of like very lightweight. People always say, how come you don't have any like loose skin? My workout routine in the gym became sick. It became sick. I was just doing 200-300 reps, 400 reps on like chest, just like for one simple exercise, the bench press. And I rack it, get back on it, just rep it out, trying to burn as many calories as I can, build that muscle mass. And I just became obsessed with it. I say what if a lot. It sounds corny and it sounds weak, but it's true. One of the recruiters said there's not many black Navy SEALs. Matter of fact, I was the 36th African-American SEAL in history. It's in over 70 years. Because the water, Right. I mean, people get mad at me. It's true, just get over it. And so I was like, man, what story would it be if my fat, dumb, lying to be friends with people, insecure ass can overcome this? And that what if mentality, like that dreamer mentality, just would always fuel me. It would just fuel me, man. What if I can be a SEAL, man? What if I can go from running a quarter of a mile, now I run 205 miles. What if I can go? What if I can go? And what if, how would that feel if I'm graduating? Can I get at the graduation thing I was talking about, 224, like the video I sat down and watched. This commanding officer stood up and he said to the graduation, guys who are graduating buds, like 18 of them, he said, we live in a society where mediocrity is often rewarded. And he went on to say something about these men detest mediocrity. And I wanted to be a man that detests mediocrity. My family couldn't even swim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had no athletes in my damn family. And I was a kid who kind of got the bad genes. I had all these little sickly issues, all these allergic to I was a little sickly kid. And it's funny how when people hear my story now, they want to put a title on me. Like, I'm superhuman.
Yeah, like you had some special capability.
And I love it because basically it makes you feel better. If I put a title on you, you can do it too.
Absolutely, right.
And so basically,
it's a choice.
Yes, choice. Yeah. It's a horrible choice. It's a hard choice. It's a lot of suffering involved. So for me to get the start line, through that start line journey, I realized I'm capable. So what happens through this whole process is the change of the mind. It's a change of the guard. Someone once owned my brain. I never owned it. I had no control of it.
You outsourced it.
Yes, right. Everybody had it. It was my dad's fault. It was the kids that called me nigger fault. My mom wasn't home fault. My soon-to-be stepdad's fault. The little kid that got ran over by a bus fault. My life was, everybody had a piece of my brain. And through this journey of suffering, and the suffering I put it in because I started finding myself. I started, oh no, I'm taking this back from me. This part of my brain's mine now. I started covering back this piece of my brain. And through that, I grew confidence. In this process, I went from David Goggins, I started forming a guy named Goggins. I had to really I realized I had to reinvent a whole nother human being within myself, because who I am wasn't gonna make it. This guy is not gonna cut it. So I had to be a guy who can take any kind of pain, any kind of suffering, any kind of torture, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I had to have the people who, I had to visualize everybody that called me nigger. You had to be in a room of people like this. I had to make up these things in my mind, of things I had to overcome. And I started callousing my mind through a process, and it basically started with working out. It started with working out. I started with doing, like, if it started raining outside, for instance, my mind would say, "F that, man, I don't want to go run." If it was 3 o'clock in the morning, it started raining outside, my mind said, "You got to go run.
Get up and go run."
You have to," because I was fighting this other person.
So you essentially tried to do everything you didn't want to do.
That's all it was. Period. Dot. Everything I didn't want to do is what got me to where I'm at today.
Interesting.
Every single thing. So where we find comfort, that's where I started getting scared. When I started saying, "Oh, it's raining, I'm not going out there," no, you cannot say that. You cannot do that. You have got to do this. So whatever my brain thought, I did the opposite. Wherever the comfort was, I went the opposite direction. And over a period of time, boy, it calluses the shit out of your mind. You start to really develop a whole nother being. Growing up, being the kid I was, I found strength in different movies. So I come home, in one movie I found a lot of strength, and as funny as it may seem, but I visualized this scene. I do it today during the pull-up record. I did 4,030 pull-ups. The last time I did it, I actually got it. It took me 3 times. I played one song for 17 hours pretty much. It's from this movie, Rocky 1, round 14. I related to the person in the movie, but just the one scene when Apollo's beating the shit out of Rocky. He falls in the corner, and everybody, and Rocky, and Apollo turns around, arms up, happy as shit. I got this guy. He turns around not knowing that Rocky's trying to get up off the canvas. Mickey's his trainer, saying stay down. Everybody's saying you did good. You did good. You went 14 rounds with the champ. Rocky didn't hear shit. He got up, and what sticks in my mind today, and I'm seeing it right now, when he got up, Apollo starts to turn around to see the aftermath of what the he just destroyed. And he did not expect to see what he saw. And what I see out of the whole movie, I see Apollo Creed's face.
Fear crept in.
Yes. And I said to myself as a young kid, I want to be that. I don't need to win. I don't need trophies. I don't need people to like me. I just want what he has. A fictional character, whatever the hell it was, I want that. And I visualized that. And I want to become the guy who can get off the canvas and look at somebody who beat the shit out of him. Life. I'm talking about life right now. And life, even life itself, puts their head down towards David Goggins. This is not going to stop. So that mentality became what I wanted. And that's how it started, with that visualization of the canvas. And all I gotta do is just keep getting up. The cookie jar is something I invented. As you all know, your mom has a cookie jar, and sometimes you might have an Oreo, sometimes you might have a Chips Ahoy, sometimes you might have an oatmeal raisin cookie. You never know, it's just in there. My cookie jar has every single failure and success of my life, something I overcame. So what happens in time of life when you're stressed out and things get bad, even the hardest guy in the world, me, everybody thinks, and I think I'm the hardest guy in the world. You gotta believe that. You gotta believe you are something. I will, in my mind, reach into my cookie jar, and sometimes you forget how hard you are in times of need. Because you're stressed, but you forget, I'm a Navy SEAL, I'm a Ranger, I'm this and that, but you forget all that because your life sucks. I calm down, take that 1 second, get control of my life, reach in the cookie jar. Well, you got called nigger your whole life, and you're now the only person in history to do this, and this. Put it back in the cookie jar, reset my mind. You have to remind yourself of how badass you really are in times of need. That's the cookie jar. It cuss all the time. Why? Well, I hate to say it, the best way for me to get how I feel across, I can't sit here and say, you know what, yeah, I went through Hell Week and man, it was really hard. No, that takes your damn soul, rips it inside out, and then they say, now we're going to start. It allows me to express where I was at a point of my life. If I don't give you all of me, why the hell am I here? Why, how will you learn from me? People take so much offense to me. You will never learn from people if we always tap dance around the truth. We tap dance around the truth by finding the right words so I don't hurt you because you have thin skin. No, tighten up, people. It's okay. Trust me, it's okay. You might be called nigger one day. It's okay. You might be called some Jewish word or some faggot or gay word. It's okay. Let them call you that. What are you going to do now? They don't own your life. How are you going to control that now? How are you going to flip it upside down and say, Roger that, now I'm going to harness this, and you'll read about me years from now? How? That's the question. How are you going to do that? Thicken your skin. Become more of a human being. Don't be afraid of the reflection in the mirror. That's all you can be afraid of. Once you overcome the reflection in the mirror, you've done it. The first ultra marathon wasn't smart at all. So basically what happened was, I was at military free fall school with Morgan Luttrell. Marcus Luttrell, if you guys don't know, was the lone survivor guy. He was in a bad op went bad. He was the only Navy SEAL that lived. Long story short, you gotta get the book, read Lone Survivor, great story. Morgan is Marcus Luttrell's twin brother, and I was there with Marcus. So what happened was, myself and Morgan were in free fall school. At the same exact time, Marcus was in the worst incident in SEAL history. So I knew that Marcus might be dead. He wasn't dead, everybody else was dead. So I actually thought, I actually told Morgan, hey man, your brother was in a bad incident. I don't know if he's alive, I don't know what's going on. Long story short, Marcus is alive, and I go on to want to raise money for families. All these guys died, they all had kids. I want to raise money for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. It's a foundation where 100% tuition goes to these kids to go to college, full tuition, whatever. So I found this great foundation. I'm gonna raise money for it. So I said, you know what? I have to Google something that's evil, something very hard. I knew nothing about ultra marathons. I hadn't even run a marathon. I knew nothing about this world. So I Googled the top 10 hardest races in the world. And what comes up is a Badwater 135. It's a 135-mile race through Death Valley in the summertime. I thought it was a stage race. I thought it was a race where you run like 20 miles, set up camp, barbecue outside, and then go run some more the next day. So I called the race director up at the race and said, hey, Chris, his name is Chris Kosman, I want to do your race. So we had a long conversation. I was much heavier then, and I hadn't put running shoes on in over a year.
How heavy are you at this point?
I'm around between 240 to 270.
Whoa.
I'm in there. I'm in that range. My weight has varied a lot through the SEAL teams and out of the SEAL teams, so I was a heavy guy. But the long and short of it all was, I hadn't put running shoes on in over a year. I was a big time power lifter. I lifted weights heavy. That's what I did. Right. I got back home from Iraq, went straight to free fall school, and then this happened. So I called Chris Kosman up on a Wednesday. He says, look, man, the only way you can qualify for my race is to run 100 miles at one time in 24 hours or less. There happened to be a race that Saturday, so 4 days later. And he said, if you qualify, by running 100 miles or less in 24 hours, I will consider you my race. I'm gonna cut to the chase. I signed up for this race. It's called the San Diego One Day, where you run around a 1 mile track for 24 hours to see how many miles you can get. My goal was 100 miles. So I got to mile 70 and I cleared 70 miles in like 12, 13 hours pretty quickly, but I was done. My feet were broken. I was stress fractures, shin splints, muscles were tearing. I was in bad shape. I was eating Ritz crackers and drinking Mileplex. That's all I had. No water, didn't know what the hell I was doing out there. Had on some tube socks. It was just ridiculous. It was a clown show. So I sat down at mile 70, and at this time I was married. And I look at my wife and I was like, I'm messed up bad. So I literally start to turn white. And when a black guy turns white, you're pretty f***ed up. So here I am, I'm all f***ed up in this chair. I'm at mile 70, I think I got 30 miles to go. I'm jacked up. I gotta go to the bathroom, and the bathroom's like 20 feet from me. It's a porta potty. I can't get out of the chair. So I'm peeing blood down my leg.
Whoa.
Pooping up my back, and I got 30 miles to go. And I can't stand up because my blood pressure's all messed up. I've been in 3 hell weeks, Ranger School, overcome so many obstacles in my life. This last 30 miles of this race is when I realized a human being is not so human anymore. We have the ability to go in such a space if you're willing to suffer, and I mean suffer. Your brain and your body, once connected together, can do anything. And this 30 miles was the life-changing moment. I was out of it. I was in the worst pain in my entire life. I was, to me, on the brink of death. And I was able to chunk this 30 damn miles into small pieces. I was so driven, and I'm not gonna say motivated, because motivation's crap. Motivation comes and goes. When you're driven, whatever's in front of you will get destroyed. So I sat in this chair and I was so driven to succeed in this race. And at this time, everybody goes, were you thinking about the guys that died? And I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't. This became a personal thing. This became me against this race, me against the kids that called me nigger, me against me. It just became something that I took so violently personal. And I broke this thing down into small pieces. I said, okay, I gotta get nutrition. I gotta be able to stand up before I can get off this curb and get off this chair and be able to go 30 miles. So I went through all these small steps, and I was able to stand up. And then from standing up, I was literally walking around with my wife at the time, and she goes, you're not gonna make the time. She goes, you're walking like 30-some-minute miles. I got to mile 81, and the second she said that I'm not gonna make the time, I ran the last 19 miles, nonstop. And I can show you right now when we get done with this. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you right now. This was years ago, and I had to put compression tape on my ankle. And so this was years ago. I had literally the size of $50. I had to get compression tape, and I taped up my ankles, and I taped up my feet. And that's how I got through that race.
Was it like a hematoma? I mean, what happened
was, like my shins hurt so bad from having stress fractures that the only way I could continue on was I taped it so I wasn't doing the flexor motion that activates your shins. So I taped my ankles and my shins up, and I got that from, because in my 3rd hell week, they weren't gonna let me go back through training anymore.
Right.
So I literally went through all of BUDS, my last SEAL training, with stress fractures and shin splints. And how I did it was I would tape my ankles all the way up to my calf every morning. So for the first hour, the pain was excruciating. But what happened is my feet would go numb. And I did that every single day for 6 months.
Whoa.
And that's how I got through my 3rd hell week, because I was so broken from the first 2 that the commander said, hey, the CEO said this is your last time we're sending you through. So that's how I got the idea to do that. So with the right, and people may listen to this and say, this guy is sadistic, he's crazy, no, if you know how I came up, you realize I was just a scared kid that found drive and passion to be something much better than what he thought he was. That's all it is. Self-talk and visualization are the two keys to my success. I believed for that last 19 miles, I was indestructible. Because I took myself in that chair, crapping up my back, peeing blood down my leg, shin splints, stretch fractures. I used all that for motivation versus negativity. I used it for motivation. I said to myself, who on this earth would still be going right now? You are. You are. You gotta be the hardest on the planet. Is it true? I don't give a At that time, it got me to the finish line of that race. I believed it. I believe it today. I believed it enough to where my body said, he's not gonna stop. And I took all the negative things. I need to go to the hospital, this and that. And I used it all. Who the hell could even get out of that chair? You did. Who the hell would even think about taping stretch fractures up? You did. All those things I used for motivation.